Hi, this is Paranormal Encounters, and I'm your host, Brenda McGee. Today I have a very special guest. His name is Andrew D., and he's here all the way from the UK. Hi, Andrew. Thanks for being
Brenda,
here.
how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Honestly, I'm fine. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm so honored that you're here today.
Well, do you know what? I mean, you keep saying that, but I can't believe I'm actually here. 3 or 4 days ago, we'd never met each other. Now I'm here sat talking to you. So, yeah, I mean, the honor's equally mine. Thank you.
So I'd love for you to tell us about yourself.
Where do you want me to start? How long have we got?
Okay. So when was the first time you figured, you started seeing spirit and all?
Well, Brenda, I mean, I do get asked that a lot, but I did see things as a young boy. I felt things, I was aware of things, but I never really had somebody I could turn to or ask, or somebody who could guide me or say, well, that's what this is. And the thing that sticks out in my mind the most was when I used to close my eyes to go to sleep, and I would see faces. I say, oh yeah, that's my grandfather, or that's my Auntie Jean, yeah, they've all passed away. But there were strange faces, people had, I thought, hey, it's my imagination, I don't know who these people are, and I would fall asleep. And here we are 50 years later, and it's still happening. But, I spent 23 years in the military, I served my country for that time, and it was around 10 years ago, a friend of my mum's said, you really need to do something with this gift of yours now, and you really need to start developing it properly. But interestingly enough, around that time in the UK, I was driving past a spiritualist church one day, and I just stopped and I looked and I went, and I just felt the need to go in at some point. And a week later, I said to my wife, I'm going to church. She said, church? And, literally I went, and the guy that was running the open circle at the time, he said, oh, everybody meet Andrew. So this is only 10 years ago, and it was the June 2006. And he said, Andrew's got a message for somebody. I said, what's a message? And he sat me down, he stood behind me, put his hands on my shoulders, said, close your eyes, and again, there was a face. And he asked me some questions, what do they look like? Is it a man? Is it a woman? Are they carrying something? And he said, okay, Andrew, open your eyes. And somebody else in the circle, just opposite me, just like you, and they said, I can take all of that. And,
wow.
And of course, when you first run with it and you first go with it, it's almost that raw power, that raw energy, hey,
Right.
And then after a while you rein yourself in, because you then maybe start to question the information. Then you've got to learn to stop questioning yourself and just give what you get. And here we are 10 years later, and I'm sat talking to you in Seekonk.
See that?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you have a little shoe with you.
Well, that actually all forms part of the story. I was in Iraq in 2007, and it was because I started going to the spiritualist church in June 2006, and I went to Iraq in Basra in 2007, the January, February time, and I was there to do my tour of duty, and I was there for 4 months. But one day I was sat outside. We used to have Sunday mornings off. That was a bit of downtime to do some laundry or whatever, catch up with some administration, phone home. And I was sat outside one day, and because the heat was immense, you couldn't sit and relax and get a good tan. It was like being fried alive. And I literally went to stand up like this, and as I moved my boot, I thought, ooh, what's that? And it looked like a small ring pull on a can. And as I picked it up, it wasn't. It was a ring, a key ring. And the rest of the key ring is still at home, but attached to the end of it was this small painted Dutch wooden clog. And as I stood up, bent down to pick it up, and I stood up, I just felt my grandfather's presence all around me. It's almost like a duvet of love had been thrown over me.
Wow.
And totally and utterly smothered me. And Brenda, when you've been truly touched by spirit, it's just like,
Right.
It moves you to the core.
Right.
And it didn't take me long to work out why it was when I picked this clog up that he made himself aware, because I'd just been thinking about home, I'd been thinking about family, I was thinking about going home soon. And my grandfather was actually Dutch.
Oh, wow.
And so was my other grandfather. Half my family are Dutch. And my mum still has a pub. She's 73. She's still running the pub while she's about to retire. And she's got one wall covered in clogs.
Oh.
So my dad used to have a restaurant in Liverpool, home of the Beatles, called Clogs. So extremely significant.
Definitely.
But the fact that I was 3,000 miles from home, as I am today, and I literally put my chair down in the desert, in the middle of the Iraqi desert, and kicked the sand off this thing. And I'm going to say
amazing.
divine timing,
Oh, yeah.
synchronicity, whatever you want to call it. You don't even have to believe me, but it's the truth. And I still carry it with me to this day.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that was literally round about the time, 6 months after I'd started my development or rekindled my development. And it was just him letting know he was around me, he was there, and this all-consuming love. Yeah, so that's the story of the clog. Yeah.
I love
and I'll leave
that.
that there for you.
No, it's funny because now, did anyone in your family have the gift, or you're just the special one?
No, well, I actually believe my brother is probably more talented than myself, but it scares him.
Yeah.
He's got his own catering company back in the UK. He's, I remember because we used to go and drink in my mum's pub. It was always the watering hole on the way home because my mum would give us then a ride home. But literally we were stood there one day just drinking, and I sensed the presence of this man behind me, and I knew who it was. It was my father's brother who passed when he was very young. And my brother just said, "Eric's here." And I was like, "You felt him too?" He said, "Oh yeah." So I knew that. So my brother's gifted, but my mum's had so I wouldn't say a hard life, but it's been a difficult road for her with one thing and the other. And it's only since her life has smoothed out slightly, age 73, she now tells me things. She phones me and tells me. So I know it's come through her.
Yes.
But when I was younger and I asked her things, she had, raising kids, raising a family, all the rest of it. So she probably didn't have time. And that's the thing with mediumship, spiritualism, or whatever. Your life has got to be in the right place for it to take off. And up until 10 years ago, I was busy following a career. I was raising 2 young boys with my wife.
Right.
So it took off when it was meant to take off.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, basically, in answer to your question, through my mom, but I think my brother and my youngest son has the gift as well.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Now, does he talk to you about that, your son?
Occasionally, because he's coming up 15, so he's got everything else going on in his
Right.
life. He's growing up quickly. But when he was little, he used to run and call me. "Dad, you called me. You called me." I said, "I didn't, son. There's only us in the house." Right. "Dad, you called me." I went, "Luke, I did not call you." And then he used to talk about a friend of his called Max. And we never found out who Max was. And then suddenly he played it all down. But he has got that avenue now to ask me questions, whereas I did not have that when I was his age.
That's
so
great.
I know he knows that he can come to me. And occasionally when his guard is down, he asks questions. "Dad, how do you know this?" or "How do you know that?" So there must be something going on.
Right.
But right now he's holding it all in. So we'll find out in due course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, how do you see spirit? Is it in your mind's eye, or is it you see them?
For the most part, it's in my mind's eye. But sometimes I say to spirit, because you know as well as I do, Brenda, when we first start out, excuse me, we think it's those that control it. We don't think that we can ask them questions. We don't say, "Will you do this for me? Can you show me this?"
Right.
And I've learned as I've gone down the road, "Will you do this tonight for me? Will you show me this?" And I remember being at one event and one lady was sat there like this. She wasn't playing ball at all.
Right.
And everything I said was negative. It was just, she closed me down. And I just said to her mom, "Let's work this out." And her mom showed me herself, stood behind her. I said, "Your mother looked like this." And I just described the lady stood behind her mom. And the lady went, like that, down to the last detail of like a little brooch that she wore here on a particular style of coat. So depending on what's needed,
Right.
I just feel them. If they draw close to me, if I'm over, if I've got a real good link with them, a real good connection, I will see their hands overshadowing mine. I might feel shorter. I might feel larger. I might feel, almost like angry, or I might feel a jolly soul, or somebody that could never take life seriously. So, and sometimes it feels when the connection is not brilliant, because as you know, you need that link with your recipient.
Right.
Sometimes it's like, "Tell them this, tell them that." It's like from the other side of the room. So all manner of things. Yeah.
So now, when you're not in your zone, do you shut it down so you can just
You've
do everything.
You've got to, yeah, because it's like water on a dripping stone, you know. And I know if I've had a break, if I've taken a week off or 2 weeks off or gone away on vacation, I come back and I'm just firing on like a V8, you know,
Right.
all cylinders. And I know if I've done too much, it's just like there's a couple of cylinders, pop, 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 you know, missing. So you've got to maintain your own health,
Right.
physical, emotional, diet as well.
Right.
Look after myself. So, you know, with that, you know, depending on how I am, depends on exactly how the mediumship is. So I do try and keep on top of my game, really.
Now, I know you have some events going on while you're here.
Yeah, I do.
Do you want to mention them?
Of course, can I?
Yeah, of course.
Well, this Thursday, now Maureen Hancock, who's been extremely benevolent and generous towards me. I only met her in the summer, and you know, I was around her house drinking coffee yesterday, and she's allowed me to use her studio. So that's in Bridgewater this Thursday. I've still got some spaces left for tickets. It's very, very intimate, very small space, and you can really feel the love and feel the energy there. So you can book tickets if you wish via my website, andrewd.com/events, or just go to my website and then look up the events page. And on Saturday, I'm working with a lovely lady called Laurie Sheridan. Have you met Laurie?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, and I'll be working with her for the first time, and I've worked with Liam Galvin in the past, so another lovely guy.
Yes.
And we are working up at, I think it's called the Healing Angels Centre perhaps I've got that name slightly incorrect, but that's up in Norwell. And again, if you go to my website, the details are on there, but you've got to call for your tickets. So Thursday and this coming Saturday, sorry, not Sunday, yeah, Thursday and Saturday this week.
And if they wanted to do a private reading with you, they can go right to your website and get in touch with you.
Yeah, now I fly back to the UK this coming Sunday, but people can still get in touch with me either while I'm here, and they can call me on 508-443-1606. That's 508-443-1606. Or go to my website and they can book directly on there. I've got literally a few slots left. And but if I'm back in the UK, it matters not. That number works in the UK.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a Skype to go number. So I pick up the phone at home, and I can still speak to people. And I do Skype readings as well.
That's amazing.
Well, people are they go, oh, I'd rather see you face to face, Andrew, or you know, I'd rather come and see you. But honestly, phone readings are so much better because you've got that voice vibration.
Exactly.
And people can't just go.
It is.
You know, they've got
it's
to
so
talk to
much
you.
easier
Yeah.
to connect because you're not getting the facial expressions.
That's it.
And you're not getting the energy that they're, you know, putting forward, or that wall when they're sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
So, no,
Well,
that's great.
I've got my own radio show, which airs it's an internet radio show, but it airs at 4 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday, and I do that from the UK. But you're right about what you've just said, because when I do the readings on air, it's like, why did that work so much easier? Because, you know, Laurie, well, I'm seeing Laurie Saturday,
Yeah.
Brenda. You know that, you know, chimpanzees, they have over 70 facial expressions that they use. They've got no language.
Right.
Yeah, just everything is done by facial expressions. And I could say to you, you know, your dad was a millionaire and he was a rock star, and you go, you don't need to say anything to me. On the phone, they go, no, that's incorrect. Okay, let's move on.
Right.
Because there's a reason why Dad might be showing me this rock star lifestyle, and you know that's somewhere else to go with a link from Spirit for another message. So yeah, I've got a whole encyclopedia, a whole thesaurus now and you know, it's all symbolic, isn't it?
Right, it is.
And people say to me, what about language? I've done readings for people who've had a translator, and because the recipient was Indian, her husband was Indian, and neither of them spoke English. And yet his wife received a reading from her husband, and the daughter translated.
So
yeah, because it's a lot of it's symbolic, it's pictures, it's
right.
Yeah. So
now,
I could talk to you all day.
And really that's great. Yeah. Now I saw you Friday night at the Newport Elks Lodge. I was very surprised because that place is very haunted.
Oh yeah.
And the energy is crazy. I was amazed how you were able to
work at all.
To work, yeah.
Well, it was the rock band next door, wasn't it?
That took a lot of patience.
Yeah. But Do you know what? I mean, these things are sent to try us, and I find some, I've even realised down the years, and we'll talk about the energy in a minute, but I've even realised down the years that it took me a while to work out that if I was too warm, my mediumship just went out the window. You just become irritable, and so I have to have the room, quite cool. Like this is ideal,
right?
Because I realise that my body temperature goes up, and I notice when I do my radio show, I walk out really, really warm, and within half an hour I'm shivering.
Right.
So there's something going on there, which is
Definitely.
interesting. But yeah, the Elks Club on Friday in Newport, Rhode Island was phenomenal, and great crowd, great bunch, and you need people like that to work with. You need the comedians in the audience that want to have a joke and have a laugh with you.
Oh yeah.
Because that just builds the energy, and spirit loves that high spirits.
Well,
Yeah.
I loved it too because you were you're a comedian also.
Oh, right.
So that was good because people are so serious at those, and you just made them lighten up and smile and laugh, and that I think you did a great job.
Well, you've got to, because if somebody has never been to something like that before, and their dad comes through and they're anxious about thinking, if they've never been to anything, they think maybe they're going to be embarrassed, or their dad is going to tell them something that they. And as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I don't delve into people's lives in a public arena.
Right.
Because spirit will not give that to me. They will only give me what they see fit to be put before the audience and for their loved ones. So you're right. Some people come slightly, what's going to happen? And you've got to bring them out the shell. Because once you've done that and they relax, they get the better message, which is what it's about. I'm not a guy who sits in a corner and plays a guitar or tells jokes that I've told at 20 bars throughout the year.
Exactly.
Every single show is different. Every audience member is different, and the energy is totally different each time. And I need those people to work with them because it's their show.
Now, have you ever come across anything negative, like a negative spirit?
Oh God, yeah, my house. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few beautiful rooms in my home in terms of energy. My study. The living room is not too bad. The kitchen's ish, but the bathroom and my two boys' bedrooms are phenomenal. We just go and sit in there. What are you doing in my room, Dad? But my bedroom, even my wife walked in, it's like a wall. We've had people, I've tried to clear it, but sometimes you get used to the energy yourself.
Right.
And I think your own senses become numbed. But I've had people come in and say, yeah, there was a guy in there. And my wife was suffering with her neck. And this lady came and said, this guy was hung.
Wow.
And it's a very old area where I live, but the houses only date back to the 70s, so we think it's all connected to the land.
Right.
So there's where I live, the next village along, I'm always down there clearing houses out. So not too much negativity, but
Good.
in the Elks Club, there's a young guy called Kasem that was with us. He took me up to the attics. While I was there, and I opened the door, and there's a guy up there, and he just told me where to go, and it began with F. Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he went, "We've got that." They recorded that on an EVP.
Wow.
And they played it back to me, and he said we were stood at the top of the stairs when the guy swore at them. So I thought that was a nice confirmation, actually.
Yes.
And it's the thing was, it wasn't necessarily sinister. But I know he was grounded, and that was his space, and he didn't want anybody in there. Yeah, but apart from that, no real negative, bad stuff.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Is there anything you want to talk about today?
Wow. Well, I'm just going to say, we talked about the clog and the synchronicity and divine timing, and I've been here to the States before the military many years ago, but somebody invited me here last year. I said, you've got to come across, you've got to meet us, and literally everything has just gone from there. And like I said, a few days ago, I didn't know you, and here we are today. So what next? The world. Yeah.
I look forward to seeing what that's
Thank you,
going to
Brenda.
bring. Have you ever done a paranormal investigation?
I have, but do you want the honest truth?
Yeah.
I just can't be bothered staying up all night.
I don't stay up all night.
Everybody I know that organises these events, they go,
I don't know
yeah, we
why.
start at midnight.
I tell them the spirits have no concept of time.
Yeah, well, that's better then. Daytime's good.
Yeah, they're going to communicate with you, whatever you do.
A friend of mine, she spent all night in a graveyard, and they listened back to the recordings, and there was, they heard nothing all night, but at 5 a.m. on their voice recorder, all they heard was "morning."
Oh, that's funny.
And they were, because they were, and they said they froze because they'd been there all night and heard nothing, and yet it was on the recorder. So, if you can get good evidence, it's great. Yeah.
I do pretty well with it. I really
Good,
love.
good,
Yeah, I did a
yeah.
place in Newport. We're going back in January.
Wow, where's
So-
that then?
I can't disclose the location.
Oh, right, okay.
Because we were kind of snuck in.
Wasn't the police station, was it?
No, it wasn't the police station, but any place in Newport, honestly, that whole town is
Mind you,
haunted.
we've got some dodgy towns in the UK as well.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, people, the fabric of the walls of buildings, they're like recorders, they absorb it. We are energy, and they
Yeah.
absorb that energy, and, you will see things. It's almost like a tape recorder just playing itself. At 1 p.m., the Grey Lady appears every afternoon,
Right.
and it's just that cycle of going round and round. So, yeah, tons of stuff. And there's a Tudor tea room literally dating back to the 1500s near where I live.
Wow.
And I asked where the bathroom was one time, and I'd never been in this place. And I went to the top of the stairs, and so I went back down again and said to the lady, "Do you do ghost hunts here or paranormal investigations?" "Oh yeah, all the time." "What did you see?" I said, "The boy at the top of the stairs with his mom." "Oh yeah, he stands there all the time. Everybody sees him." And he was dressed in Tudor dress from the 1500s, and his mum was laying tables.
You know what,
Yeah.
though? I think I'm different when it comes to the paranormal because I cross them over.
I do if it's in somebody's home.
Yeah.
But some people like to seem to keep that because it attracts people to the venue.
Then
yeah.
that's terrible.
No, I think that's cruelty.
so.
Yeah, yeah.
So a lot of times when I go to places, like when we did this last investigation in Newport, it was funny because I have a DVR system, so you could see the spirits right on the camera. And
Oh, yeah.
I did the prayer of crossing over, and then the activity, slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
But in the EVPs, while I'm doing the crossing over prayer, you can hear them saying, "Help me."
Wow.
And then when they crossed, it was
Well, what I do, and in the early days I could sense energy, but I discovered that some of them are grounded and don't know that their physical body
Right.
is passed.
right.
And I said, "Would you like to go to the light?" And so I help those across. There are others that like being around us. They like to be part
Right.
of. There's a lady in my living room. Her energy is so fragrant, so subtle. I really have to try hard to notice that she's there. But every now and again, especially in the morning, I go, "Oh, she's there still." So she's just content being around the family.
Of course.
And there are those that perhaps maybe the times that they were raised in, that they were, maybe they followed certain orders or whatever.
Right.
You don't dabble with this side of life, but and if you
Right.
when you die, you're going to go to hell. So a lot of them are scared
Exactly.
and don't want to go because they don't understand. So I talk to those and I take them over. But if they choose to stay, I leave them. Yeah,
I love that. I'm the same way.
yeah.
Have you felt a change in the energy?
What, the Earth's energy?
Yeah,
or?
like everything is heightened. I feel like a lot of people that are gifted are going through these things, health issues and all of this.
I
And
tell you what I've been going through recently, and I feel like, do you know when you tune a guitar?
Yeah.
You got the big thick strings and the little ones?
Right.
And I always remember playing with my dad's guitar when I was a kid, and we go ding, 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 and I felt like, I don't know whether it was spirit or what, but it's like they were not trying to retune me, but just taking it up an octave. And there were some days I felt so heightened and almost like they say, like a cat on a hot tin roof,
Right.
What time is it? You literally, and I said, what? And it took me days and days and days to work out. I said, what the hell's going on? And then I just felt it being cranked down again. So I don't know whether that was for my own development to do with a particular event or the Earth's energy or the solar system or what, but I've definitely felt it, yeah.
yeah, it's great. Like yesterday, I was hit with energy twice, and it kind of threw me for a loop where I got dizzy. And my daughter was sitting beside me, and she's like, "Mom, I felt this like a wah-wah in her ears and in her head." So
Really?
she felt this,
Yeah.
but I can't explain what it was.
No, and my son sometimes says to me, if he goes to certain houses, "This room makes me feel dizzy, Dad." So
Yeah,
I thought that could be just a kicking in for him. But yeah, I felt a lot going on recently, and I'm sort of not aware of why it is or what it is.
I don't
but
either.
I'm with you on that.
Some say that we're getting rid of this old energy and we're being heightened with new energy. It's like preparing us for.
Well, we are.
things.
If you look at numerology, we are at the end of a universal 9-year, which is about letting go, releasing, moving on.
Right.
And we're coming into a 1 year, which is about new beginnings, fresh starts. So there's that about it. But also, when you got the numerological side, but when was the age of Aquarius? When did that start? Was that last year, beginning of 2016?
I think it was.
So it's a whole new
Right. I like that.
dimension. Yeah, so it could all be part of it.
Now, can you again tell us how we can get in touch with you?
My website is www.andrewd.com, and D is spelled D-E-E, so I'm sure people will be able to see that.
Oh, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, because they might have just put the letter D in, but if you put Andrew D in, there's a guy, a musician in California somewhere, it's not me, okay? But andrewd.com, and if you want to call me, it's 508-443-1606, and I'll gladly take any calls.
And you still have openings for a few
I do.
private readings while you're here?
I've still got some openings, and I've still got some seats left available for my event on Thursday, 8th of December, in Bridgewater, and up at Norwell on Saturday.
And that's all on your event page?
It's all on my event page on my website.
Excellent. Well, if you want to leave, we're running short on time.
Okay.
But is there anything you want to leave us with, or just...
No, I would just say thank you. Thank the guys here on the team, and thank you, Massachusetts and Rhode Island, because it's just across the border. But thank you guys for all the guys that have looked after me while I've been here, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
And we'll have to have you come back and have you on the show when you come back again.
I will let you know when I'm coming back.
Okay.
We can come and chat.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, it was such a pleasure having you here.
Okay.
And if anyone has any questions or wants to get in touch with Andrew, you can reach me at Paranormal Encounters TV9 at gmail.com. And thanks for watching. Thanks again.